And
have to show me some of those gold records soon, though. Hey, Scott. Is it up? Am I muted? Scott. Scott, can you hear me? Yes. Forty.
What's up, Anthony? What's up, Patrick? Couple shout outs here. Getting ready to start.
You're good.
All right, what's up, everybody? I am Scott Smokin' Silz. Welcome to Lunch in the Ref Room with Scott and Brad. I am joined by my man, Brad Baumruck, right here. And we are live. I want to thank you guys for joining us. This is the inaugural show. So today we're going to kind of kick it off. First of all, I just want to say that this is your show. You guys are free to comment, talk about hockey. That's what we're here for. But I'd really like to have everybody involved in this. It's just not referees, but we've got players, coaches, parents, just kind of a forum for everybody to talk. I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions moving forward. Just really excited about the news this week, and that news is that hockey is back. So I can't be happier. I mean, seeing some of the posts from the schedulers offering up some games and all that good stuff, it just maybe we're going to start to return to some kind of normality. The question is, what is normal? And joining me is Brad, who is going to be talking about that as well. So what do you think hockey's going to look like this season, Brad?
Well, Scott, number one, I'd like to say hi to everybody. And number two is, if anybody's ever heard me talk, I am definitely not normal. So the good thing is, Scott put this together, and we're going to talk about some stuff, and hopefully we answer some questions and kick around some topics. And hopefully somebody enjoys it. And I don't know if we're going to get that, but apparently Patrick down there is having a good time as we go forward. But hockey, I think, is gonna look a little different this year. Scott, I don't know about you, but I'd like to officiate in front of no fans. What do you think about that?
I don't think any of us would argue that, but are we going to have fans? That is the big question. I mean, they've got all these restrictions in place now, and that's something that we definitely want to talk about. There's talk, I know, at least in the entertainment business, 50 people maximum at an event. Are we in that same boat for hockey? Are we going to only be allowed to have 50 people? Because that's basically two teams. You got 20 guys on each roster. You got a couple referees. You got the coaches, the manager. I mean, that's over 50 people right there. So how is this really going to work? What's hockey going to look like?
Well, Scott, you bring up an excellent point with 50 people, because we can only fit so many people in each penalty box in order to be penalty box attendants. And I think parents are going to be punching each other out in the parking lot in order to get in there. But we'll find out. With the 50, I know here in Illinois we're going to be limited because we're still in phase 4. I know that the rest of the country, some of it's open, some of it's not. But most rinks are still limiting fans from coming in. Kids are allowed to come in. Players are allowed to come in. Hockey might look different. A couple of the leagues that I've heard from are possibly going to play 4-on-4 hockey, which is not youth hockey, but men's league. I know there's a lot of men's leaguers out there. And it could look very different. I couldn't imagine officiating a sport that I've officiated for 21 years now, playing 4-on-4 hockey. I just can't fathom it.
I mean, if anything, men's league, you would think would be able to put the full team out there, because typically they don't have, maybe 10, 12, 14 guys, total on the bench, no coaches. You only have 2 referees. You got 1 scorekeeper, maybe 2 people in the box. If it's a good night, there's 3 fans in the stands, so they're definitely under 50 people, contrary to popular belief. They're not exactly selling those rinks out for those games. But, I saw that there are some games starting like the end of June. Now, I had heard from somebody else that they told me that, for example, Johnny's, which has one of the bigger men's leagues in the Chicagoland area, I don't think they're going to be starting back up until like September, because I think a lot of people have already paid in money and they're going to kind of push things back or whatever the case may be. And, everybody's just kind of staying with whatever the flow may be. I know there's some rentals out there right now. I've had some invites, but the initial rentals when they reopened the rinks were only for 10 people. They were renting half ice, 10 people. So I think they were splitting the ice rental for 2 groups or whatever, just to be able to get guys out there to be able to skate. But, I'm curious, even with the rinks, did these rinks shut down? Did they take their ice down for the 3 or 4 months? Or, I haven't been back at a rink. I mean, I haven't skated since the first week of March. Like the 7th was the last game I worked.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to rent some ice from a local rink here. Most of the rinks, from what I've heard and what the populace has said, they did take their ice down. In Chicago, there were only a couple rinks that didn't take their ice down. One was on WGN. We're not going to give any shout-outs to anybody during this, but they didn't take it down. If anybody wants to Google it, they'll find it. But I was able to rent some ice, and it's very restrictive. The rink that I was at, the second you walk in, there's a left and a right walk in, and you walk in. One's under 5 feet, one's over 5 feet. They're taking temperature checks. If you don't pass, you're not coming in the rink. You're wearing a face mask in till you get your skates on. Then you're in the rink. Then you're allowed to take it off. If you're a coach on the ice or an instructor, which I was deemed at that point, you still had to wear your face mask, which
wow,
to me was very interesting, and that's an Illinois mandate that came down from youth sports, and that's what they're doing. I think the number one thing is we don't want to spread this like wildfire through our community again, because I don't think it does anybody any good if we get on the ice, and then the next thing we know, we have 500 people that are sick, and we're going to have to talk about that later too, Scott, because I just had that happen here too.
Yeah,
but
I hear you coughing. You better get checked.
But we need to make sure that everybody stays safe and healthy, and I think USA Hockey especially is let the affiliates start to take over on a lot of that, and the states are going to phase things in as they go and back things up, and I just don't foresee. I don't foresee us changing anything because we are a big group setting, especially during tournament weekends. Think about all the teams that come in from everywhere.
Well, I was going to bring it up because
all together.
You know, the big tournament, what is it? Chicago Shuffle is coming back in like towards the middle or end of July, like the 17th through the 19th, which I'm really excited about. And I understand we're having about 450 games. You're going to get a COVID check before we're done here, buddy.
Allergies.
But, you know, with 450 games coming in here, we've got teams coming in from all over the country. Now, you know, Illinois, New York, we got hit pretty hard from the get-go. And, you know, we're weathering the storm here. We're not one of the states now that shows up in red, which thank God is the case. But, man, it's scary because all these southern states that you wouldn't think would have had this problem with the heat and they've had 80, 90-degree weather for months now, which we haven't. I mean, we've got it now, but they're having problems, and I'm just blown away by that. I mean, now we usually get teams from, Colorado. We get teams from Florida. We get teams from California. We get teams from Missouri. All these places, they're all hot spots now. So, I mean, I think New Jersey today, if I'm not mistaken, turned around and said, if you come into New Jersey, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days. So
that was New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut.
So it's all three.
They did it together.
Yeah. So, this is like, it's getting kind of crazy. I'm excited that the, hockey is going to start back up. Men's league, the tournament. But, how is it going to look for us even on the ice? I mean, are we doing hand sanitizer after every period? Are we wearing a mask until we hit the ice and taking the mask off and putting it in our pocket? I mean, I've seen some of the information that was sent out by USA Hockey, which was great. I know we've eliminated handshake lines. You can wave to the coach, you can go over and talk, but we have to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing at all times. With the exception of play. And yes, as they say, there is risk to being a referee out there. I can attest to that, as I spent about 8 months out. But, there is risk. And, we all want to get back to hockey. We all want to get back to being able to exercise. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are out there that are listening, but I put on a pant size, to be honest with you, since March 7th, okay? I mean, definitely got the COVID-15, and I can't wait to get it off. I mean, I'm not used to being like this in summer and out of shape and everything. Usually you go into summer and, we've just come off the spring season, and we're like, oh, yeah, this is great. But, yeah, it's going to be different, and, we all need to get out there and do a little skating. And, if you've got ice time, I definitely want to come over there and skate with you guys. I hear that, some people do have some ice time available or whatever. So that's really great. And I'm looking forward to that. But, we are definitely going to be looking at a change this year. And what if this pandemic, I mean, when flu season kicks in, which is usually around November here in the Chicagoland area?
Yep.
It could get really interesting. I mean, Fauci's now talking we could have 150,000 cases a day. Is that what he said? Starting by mid-July or something? Well, if we're not beating this in July, we're not beating it for sure in December and January when we normally are all sick.
I think the biggest thing, Scott, is we don't know. And I'll be the first one to admit that, and I don't think anybody knows. But what we need to figure out is how to just calm it down. If you're feeling ill, don't go to the rink, which I know that's tough for a lot of referees because we have a lot of commitments and the assigners depend on us, and it's a lot of work for them in order to schedule us. But I know for us, we need to figure that out. And from all the assigners I've spoken to, they're going to be more than willing to help everybody out this season and figure it out, which we're lucky here in Illinois. They do generally anyways, so it's a good thing. We all need to work together, though, and if we figure it out.
Well, I'm curious, now during the normal season, like high school hockey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, don't the schedulers have like a backup person on call that if somebody goes down for one of the, the big games, that they already have somebody ready to step right in that's going to cover for them? And, is that something that we may be looking at in the near future, where we might actually start having guys that are on call that are just floating around ready to go take games if somebody walks into the rink and they get a temperature check and they find out that they're not good to go?
I think, Scott, assigners all around the country always have that guy or lady that they can call that might not be skating. Me especially, I know you, and there's a handful of guys in Illinois that if they give us a buzz and they're in a jam, guess what? We're going to go to the rink.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. And I just, again, I don't know. I don't think we're going to know until we get into August and September, because as rinks are opening up, my kids started lacrosse. This all could end again real quick.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I just want to break here for a second because I want to talk about a couple things. One, I want to welcome you guys if you're just joining us. This is not a sponsored channel or anything like this. This is just something that I had an idea to do. I figure I miss you guys so much. It's time to talk a little hockey. So, feel free to type your questions in. We're going to try to answer them. We're happy you're here. We're glad you want to be a part of this. We definitely would like to include, parents, coaches, schedulers, referees, the hockey community. I think we've always, my experience going to the rink, you see a coach that or something, and they come right up and they're like, hey, I got to ask you a question about this. And, it's a situation that probably happened over the weekend or whatever the case may be. But I just thought this be a cool forum that we could all actually have a place to go and talk about some of this stuff. Because one of my favorite things is going to the referee meetings and the seminars and just shooting the bull with each other. I mean, there's nothing better than being in the ref room with about 8 or 10 guys hanging out and talking situations. And so that's what we decided we would do here. We'd create the ref room, and we'd open it up to other people because they don't know what goes on in the ref room and, what our thinking is. So as we progress with this, we're going to look at some situations. We were going to have guests on the show. I can already tell you next week we have a coach coming on the show to talk about what hockey may look like for them from their perspective, because we don't always see that stuff. We talk to coaches, we walk around or whatever, but I'd like to have a coach's perspective as to what are they doing to keep their players safe? What are they doing to be able to move forward? How are they dealing with, kids coming to hockey and, parents aren't dropping, they're dropping them at the door. They're not coming into the rink. There's a lot of scenarios we just haven't seen before, and it's going to be an interesting year. I'm just, again, glad that we're starting to see games show up and that we're going to be able to go back to some sort of hockey. So, very excited about that. So if you've got questions, I'm seeing some comments. Now, you can go in. I don't know where you are on Facebook at the moment, but if you go into, my ref room page, so there's a ref room group and a ref room page. I'm pretty sure I've got 2 friends that have popped on here, and I'm getting some thumbs up. So I can see that they are coming in from there. So if you have comments, I know that we've got a lot of people watching us at the moment, but for those that don't know, you can switch over and go to the ref room page So just go to my page or whatever and search for Ref Room or whatever the case may be, and hopefully you'll pick us up. Now, I will tell you, we are going to expand this. Hopefully next week, we're going to move this over so we can be on YouTube at the same time. Brad will get his COVID check and make sure he's okay so he doesn't infect the rest of us through the internet. But, that's kind of what we're looking to do here. So, again, it's not sponsored. We love USA Hockey. We love all the people we work with. We're not here to beat up on anybody. I want to make that perfectly clear. Come join us in the conversations, just like we always have, and let's have some fun with this. So with that being said, how many of you guys have actually registered for USA Hockey at this point? I know I just filled out the paperwork last week, but I haven't downloaded the test or anything. So what are seminars going to look like this year, Brad? Are we in person, or are we going to be doing this all online? What do you think?
Well, I can speak from Illinois standpoint. We are going to have in-person seminars. From what I hear, I can't be quoted on that, but we're going to have in-person seminars. But you're also going to have an online option. USA Hockey did send out some stuff, and they're looking at virtual seminars for a lot of it. But again, USA Hockey, Illinois, and a lot of other places are allowing the affiliates, which in our case would be A-High, which were overseen by USA Hockey. They're allowing A-High to decide what's going to happen. And then that goes by Illinois' mandates. And then IHOA, which we're going to do the best that we can in order to get our members what they can. And that's the number one goal. Get us tested, get us on the ice, and just keep going. Going back for a second there, Scott, where you were talking that we want to get players, coaches, referees, parents. If there's a parent out there that's got kids going to the ice rink right now, I'd like to hear from them, because it's got to be frustrating from them. It's got to be frustrating for them that they can't go in and watch their kids. It's got to be difficult. Luckily, my wife is a trooper, and she normally takes kids to the rink because it's at 5 o'clock. So I'm not home from work, but I hear from her, and I love her to death. But she's a little biased towards our kids. She likes them a lot.
Well, we got some people checking in with us right now. So what's up to everybody that is checking in? And, of course, Jay-Z is providing us with some typical humor, but probably at least 50% to truth of the kidding on that one, because I'm sure he probably does have to get yelled at to get his test done. But Jeff Roberts is checking in. He wants to know, is the level 4 still going to be a required in-person skating exam? So, yeah, are we all going to be able to take the ice? Because typically when we have a level 4, we probably have, I'm guessing, 40, 50 guys on the ice at the same time. Are we going to be able to do that sort of thing, or are they going to be broken up into groups? Has this been discussed at all, and how's this going to work?
I can give you an update on that next week. I do not know, unfortunately. That information has not trickled down yet, and I know everybody's working hard in order to get that answered. But from my standpoint, how rinks are and how everything's going to kick back up, I don't think we're going to have the ice time. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's going to be very difficult for us to acquire ice time, and anybody that wants to be a new referee that we're going to get on the ice, hopefully, it's going to be tough. I mean, you might be going to Vernon Hills, you might be going to Joliet. I mean, and that's just Illinois. I mean, we're in a heavily populated rink area. That's why the shuffle's here, and that's why whatever they're calling it now, the old Nike Bauer or CCM. And I'm not trying to put them down at all. It's just the name has changed so many times over the 20 years.
Always fun.
But we're lucky because our metropolis is very well set up, because the rinks span from north to south, east to west, and our highways go the exact same ways, and then hotels are distributed equally along the way. Because in that weekend, we have 100, plus teams come in and play 1,400 games in less than 72 hours, and they're able to get everywhere. And the referees are there, too, on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, so it's amazing how that thing, that is a machine, okay? It just works, and I can't imagine the amount of work the schedulers put into doing that, and they pull it off, and we have, no headaches whatsoever. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, other than, like somebody breaking their leg, Scott, yours didn't happen over that
that
weekend.
wasn't at a tournament. No, I did sit 8 months for that as a result. So I'm glad to be back, man. I'm not looking forward to get back in shape again. I will tell you that was really tough after being down and, trying to get back into some sort of shape. And I'm sure some of my friends out there would argue if I was ever in shape. But, I'm just happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to getting back on the ice again. I mean, it's been too long, and having to get in shape is not a lot of fun. Yeah, here comes probably a response to that. Let's see what we got here. So we've got a couple comments coming in. Joey, is this like the Rogan podcast? When is Brad going to start talking about DMT? Well, probably when when he stops coughing, okay? Gary Pottishman, how's that going to happen? Well, welcome, Gary. Glad to have you. One of the guys that everybody kind of knows at the rinks and loves, and lots of personality. So we're glad you're joining us, and hopefully you'll be a part of this as well, Gary. So thanks for checking in on that. And everybody else, we will take questions and comments. I'm sure some of you guys have some questions out there, or maybe you have the answers for everything. I know that one of my friends had hit me up on Facebook that's in New York. And this is even hitting the NHL. I think the NHL was supposed to have opened up some new offices that were supposed to be really fancy in the New York area or whatever. And I believe everything has now been put on hold for them. So what do you think is going to happen with the NHL season, Brad?
Well, as the news report said the other day, 11 players from different teams tested positive for COVID-19. We already know Tampa Bay shut down. We know that Austin Matthews tested positive at the Leafs training camp. I don't know. I for one, I'm a huge hockey fan, but I'm also a huge outdoor guy at this time of the year. I know that a lot of us like to get together and referee all the time, but I'll be the first one to say, other than my annual barbecue, I really don't see a lot of referees over the summer.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys. I try to work year-round. I try to do some of the men's league games just to stay in some kind of skating shape, so I'm not sitting for 4 months like I am now. But it's tough. And, with the NHL, I mean, if they come back, this is going to be like a summer season. Now they're talking, I think last night they said the two hubs that are probably being looked at the most as most likely candidates would be Las Vegas and Toronto. And that makes sense. I mean, that keeps everybody north of the border for the Toronto. Yeah, we got a thumbs up on that, so that might be right. Vegas obviously is a great spot, but I don't know, man. You put all those guys in Vegas, I don't know that they're staying in one location, okay? Because there's a lot of distractions there for them to go out and do and be a part of. So that could be very interesting. I mean, they've got a nice facility there. They definitely have a couple of the other rinks that are certainly good enough to, practice in or whatever the case may be. They got the double rink there. They've got the one that UNLV used to play out. I forget what that's called. Is that the Palace or so? I can't remember. But, we definitely, it'd be a nice spot. I was hoping they'd come to Chicago, having the United Center right there, and then you've got 4 more rinks within 5 minutes of the place. They could have kind of isolated these guys and had a really good situation here, too. So,
well, Scott, I think the number one thing is what they're going to look for is a rink that's already set up for TV. So unfortunately, Chicago, we have the one rink here, the United Center, and it looks like what the NHL wants to try and do is play back-to-back games throughout the day and get them done in a time limit and all that. Yep. The interesting part is how do officiating crews work in the NHL? Because if you look at the MLB, they're assigned a crew and they work together the entire season. And during that timeline, if they don't perform well, the entire crew is cut out of playoffs. That doesn't work the same way in hockey because our crews separate all the time. So with this, does the NHL switch over to 4-man crews and stick with the same guys? I don't know.
Well, if they put them into 2 hubs, you've got a pool to choose from. So they could, maneuver guys at that point, and they're still in the same town. I would venture to say that they will put, if it's Canada and Vegas, they would put a crew in Vegas, a crew in Canada, and it would be a large crew. And that way they can move it around. But, Illinois, Chicago, I mean, we also have the All-State Arena that they could have had games out of as well. I mean, they could have possibly done that if they need to get multiple games in and get it done. There's possibilities. Is that on your end? I'm hearing something funny. Are you getting a call there or what? But anyway, so I think Brad may have just frozen up is what it is. So let's see if we get him back or not. Tell you what, let's take a couple quick looks at what we've got. Will Wags assign the NHL games? If there's a way, I'm sure he would. And that would be great because then we could all get some of that work. All right. Thanks, Gary, for that one. I may have just lost Brad, everybody. It looks like he is frozen up. We'll see if he comes back. I will talk to you for a second, and let's see if we can get him. We've got him in on Skype, and usually it's pretty good, but he's got, I believe his wife is also working from home, and she's got a Zoom conference call going, so it's a good possibility. I'll tell you what, let me do this. We'll keep this going. I can bring Brad in on the phone, so I am going to text him real quick, so stand by. Give me a second here. I'm going to dial the man up, and we'll bring him in from the phone. There is no such thing as perfection in streaming, just so you guys know. So this is live, and we are working with the internet. And as you all know, the internet right now is a little crazy because here he is. All right. Brad, are you there? Let's see if we can get him up here. Okay. I have not done this before. This is a first for me as well. This is brand new. But let's see if we can bring him in through here. Can you hear me now, Brad? This should have just shown up in here, but it's not. So, did. Don't know what did means. Yeah, I know. That's somebody else calling in. Gotta love it. Everybody's gonna call me now. All right, try one more time, Brad. Give me one more call in here. Let's see if we get you. That should come in. I'll try him. We'll keep this going. Sorry about this, but it is what it is. If not, we're going to continue next week. Our guest is going to be Jimmy. He is a coach. He is coming in to talk to us. And we will have more updates as far as to what's going on in the way of hockey. Also, if you haven't registered for USA Hockey for refereeing, registration is open right now. You can certainly do that. And yeah, I guess I have lost Brad altogether. So let's just pull up a new scene here. And we'll get Brad back if we can. If not, we will pick this up next week with Jimmy joining us from coaching. We will also be doing a little bit more in terms of getting onto YouTube and possibly a couple of the other groups. So we'll go to Restream next week. This was the first show, so we wanted to kind of try some things. That sounds like he's trying to call me again. And I don't know if he's going to make it in here or not, but we'll see. Yeah, Mike Andy says maybe he went to get some cough drops. If he didn't, he probably should have. So let me see if I can get him up here. He's dialing. Yeah, I think I'm going to probably have to see if we can get this one more time. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna call it a day for this, folks. He's trying to get back in here, but it's Skype, and Skype is not the most cooperative when it comes to this stuff. So we will catch up with you guys soon. Here he comes. He's coming in on a phone call again. Let's see if we can get him. Okay. Can you hear me, Brad? Are you there, buddy? Nope, he just went away. All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, everybody. We'll be back next week. We're going to do this every week. We're going to be doing this at noon. So stop by, check it out with us. If you're interested in being on the show, we'd love to have some guests on here. We're going to be looking to have some coaches. We'd like to have a scheduler on here. And Brad is trying to call me again. Let's see. I'll give this one more shot for the audio, and he just disappeared again. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you soon. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye, everybody.